and welcome back to Nerdy Nekama today with another DaiSugaIwaOi video. Today we have a one-shot and it's called Revolver Vessel. It's a little sick fic. I hope you enjoy it. Let's go! Also, if you like it, don't forget to like and subscribe. Koshi? Dear, are you listening? An amused smile played on Oikawa's lips before he forced them into a faint, offended pout. He watched his boyfriend with poorly disguised fondness as the silver-haired turned to him slowly, confusion coining his expression. I told you, you can take whatever book you want, but we're gonna be late soon. They had shared a comfortable, relaxing afternoon in the city. The teacher had picked Oikawa up after practice, earning him all the attention of his teammates, who couldn't help but adore his boyfriend. No, fiancé. He couldn't blame them. The smaller always brightened any room he entered. His smile was infectious, and he was genuinely kind and attentive. Though today he noticed that something was off. Suga's attention all too often deviated for no apparent reason, and it left him puzzled. Even now, he wasn't actually looking at the books, despite him being the one who insisted they visit the store before they leave. The setter cocked his head to the side slightly as he observed him. Right, sorry, I was a bit lost in thoughts. Did you find a book that you like? The expressive brown eyes quickly darted back to the shelf, and he nodded in a barely convincing fashion, and went to the first one his eyes focused on. Yep, this one seems... Before Suga could finish his sentence, Aiko had whisked the book from his hands and inspected it. He merely scanned the bag before looking at his beloved with an eyebrow raised. Koshi, this is clearly a second chance getting back together trope. You don't like those. A blush crept up Suga's cheeks and he huffed. I could have changed my mind. Sure, just the last time that you bought one on accident, you ranted about it for at least a month. You got quite creative in describing your distaste for it. He took in a deep breath and sighed. A little dejected, he placed the book back on the shelf. I mean, you can have it, of course. I'm not... No, that's not it. You were right. I drifted off. He still had the hint of an embarrassed blush lingering on his face, and a small smile tied at the corners of Oikawa's mouth once more. You are cute when you get lost in thought. Shut up. His smile brightened, as did the blush on the teacher's cheeks. With another huff, he turned around to leave, but Oikawa stopped him. Don't you want to pick another? Didn't you say we were going to be late? Oikawa rolled his eyes. He turned back to the shelf and picked one from the middle section. Other than Suga, he had been looking at the contents of the shelf before them, and he was confident enough in knowing his boyfriend's taste to choose one for him. Try this one. I know your last read was Slice of Life. Time to mix it up a bit again. He handed him a fiery-looking book in red, with golden accents that read Iron Widow on the cover. It sounded compelling, and he was sure the setting would intrigue the other. He did, in fact, after briefly scanning over the summary on the back with a renewed interest in his eyes, decide to buy the book. Not that Oikawa would let him. Just as they reached the cash register, he snatched the book from his hand and went ahead to pay for it himself. He even asked for a gift bag and didn't fail to mention that it was for his wonderful, gorgeous, and thoughtful fiancé. It only deepened the shade of red claiming Suga's cheeks, and as soon as Oikawa was done paying, he grabbed his hand and hurried them out of the store. You're impossible. Impossibly handsome, impossibly talented, and an impossibly good boyfriend. He grinned and handed him the gift back. Suga chuckled, and Oikawa had a hard time imagining a more beautiful symphony. The silverhead accepted the gift with a smile, and before Oikawa was given the chance to recover from what that alone did to his poor heart, Suga pulled him closer by his collar and kissed him deeply. It would have been the end of him hadn't Suga's touch possessed healing abilities as well. He was sure of it. They walked hand in hand out of the mall and down the road. A cold wind embraced them outside, though it had lost the harshness of winter and carried the freshness of early spring. Oikawa embraced the promise for warmer months to come and breathed in deeply. Suga next to him, however, shuddered and pressed himself closer to Oikawa's side. Since when have you gotten so sensitive toward the cold? Suga huffed offended but didn't back away one bit from the setter, making him chuckle. He slung his arm around Suga's middle and led them toward their home, where he knew their fiancés and a warm dinner would be waiting for them. All the more reason to hurry. However, when he tried to pick up the pace, Suga began to stumble after a few steps, and one glance at him confirmed that he was out of breath. Koji, are you okay? Yes, just cold. He got cut off by his knees giving out on him. Oikawa let out a gasp of shock. Luckily his arm was still around his waist so that he was able to keep him from sinking to the ground. The taller scanned the area around them and swiftly led them to a bench close by while holding Suga upright. All the previous teasing had been replaced by a quickly hardening expression of concern. Don't look at me like that. I'm fine. Koshi, you literally just collapsed in my arms. Just stumble. It was barely convincing with how his voice had gotten weaker and his head fell against the wall behind him. Oikawa inspected him quickly. His breathing was heavier than before and his face was still flushed, though he was sure this wasn't the result of his teasing anymore. To confirm his theory, he quickly brought his palm to Suga's forehead. The other flinched away. Toru, your hands are cold. They're not. You're just hot. A lopsided grin spread on Suga's face. I know I am. Oikawa rolled his eyes. Usually he would have been proud of such a comeback, but right now, his worry predominated. I think you have a fever. If you can't work any further, I can call Iwa to... No, don't. We're almost home, aren't we? He gave the other a skeptic look and jumped into action as he tried to get up again. Careful. Don't worry. Even if I do have a fever, it's probably just a cold. You don't have to be so overbearing. The setter decided for once not to remark on the irony of it, considering that Suga could be the very epitome of overbearing and cuddling. He simply slung his arm around his fiancé's waist once more and held him much tighter this time. You can be so stubborn. It earned him a nudge on his side, yet when he looked at the other, he saw that he was right. Discomfort was written all over his face. He briefly wondered when Suga had started to feel uncomfortable and for how long. He simply gritted his teeth and ignored it. The teacher could be a prime example of what not to do when sick. Accepting help often came the least natural to those who offered it the most freely. By the time they managed to get home, Suga seemed utterly exhausted and had given up on the "I'm fine, don't worry" act for the most part. Oikawa wasn't sure whether that should worry him more or less. He leaned toward more. There you are. We really thought you had been abducted by aliens. Haha, if we had been abducted by aliens, I would have literally live-tweeted the whole event. Iwaizumi just raised an eyebrow, but before either of them could comment further, Suga, who just managed to step out of his shoes, sprinted past them toward the bathroom.
You didn't go drinking, did you?
No, I think he got sick. His voice was laced with worry, and immediately Iwaizumi's expression grew serious.
I'll check on him. You just arrive home and give Daichi an update on the situation.
Before Aikawa had the chance to protest, and after almost falling flat on his face in an attempt to take his shoes off quicker, Iwaizumi had already disappeared, and he was left to agree, begrudgingly. Although still worried, he followed Iwaizumi's instructions into the kitchen-living room combo, where he found Daichi setting the table.
Hey, how was your date?
He smiled at him warmly, and Aikawa felt part of his anxiety melt away in an instant. The young officer radiated such an air of security and protection it made him feel safe and calm as soon as he was around.
Good, for the most part. I got Suga a new book.
He placed the gift bag on the counter and didn't fail to notice the slight frown forming on Daichi's face as he heard the reservation in his voice.
For the most part.
Koshi is sick. I noticed on our way home. I don't know if he noticed before and hid it, but he wasn't exactly easy to deal with when I urged him to rest.
Daichi sighed, concern reflected in his eyes.
Yeah, he never took well to being the one to be cared for. And here he chastises me for overworking and not taking my limitations seriously. What a hypocrite.
He said it with no malice in his voice, solely worry and an underlying mix of annoyance and adoration. Daichi chuckled.
That would make you a hypocrite too, darling.
Aikawa huffed and tried not to let it show how much the darling got to him.
So I take it Hajime is taking care of him now?
I wanted to, but he was faster.
What happened?
When you were still on the date, I mean.
Aikawa sighed again and let himself fall onto one of the chairs while Daichi brought out the plates with a freshly cooked meal from the kitchen. I just noticed he seemed more distracted than usual, more spacey, and then on the way back, he was cold and almost collapsed on me. But he insisted to work anyway. He was definitely burning up, and I think he wasn't feeling too well once we arrived. He shuddered a little, intentionally leaving out any potential details. Hajime joined them before Daichi could ask any further questions.
He has a fever, 38.4 degrees. Nothing too high, but worth keeping an eye on. I sent him to bed with some pain meds, water, and a bowl in case he feels nauseous again.
Though if he acts like he did before, we might have to chain him to the bed to make sure he stays there. Daichi chuckled at that and sat down at the table as well. Nah, once you get him to rest in bed, he's much more susceptible to getting the care he needs. It's just about admitting that he needs or wants help to begin with.
He better accept it now, I'll force him to.
It earned him another chuckle, and the three of them focused on the food. After they finished, Aikawa went ahead and took the new book with him, while Eva volunteered to gather some more blankets, mats, and whatever else they needed. Meanwhile, Daichi prepared something that would be easier on Suga's stomach than what they had for dinner. Aikawa entered the guest bedroom after knocking softly on the wooden door. Hey.
Hey.
Suga gave him a weak smile. Sorry for being so stubborn.
Don't stress about it. I got your new book. Do you want me to read from it a bit?
He nodded and hugged the blanket tighter around his body. Aikawa smiled softly and sat down next to him on the bed before opening the book up on its first page.
The Hundens were coming. A whole herd of them rumbling across the wilds, stirring up a dark storm of dust through the night. Their rotund, faceless bodies made of spirit metal glinted.
Thank you so much for watching to the end. I really hope you liked it. If you did, don't forget to like and subscribe so you won't miss out on any future content. This was one of my more fluff one-shots. It's a rarity on this channel, but I really hope you enjoyed it. Tell me your favorite quote and or moment under the pinned comment. It would mean the world to me. If you have an idea for a specific video I should do, there is a request form that is linked in the video description where you can submit your idea anonymously and completely for free, and I can see when I will get to it. A special thanks, as always, goes out to my Neckos who make this channel possible, who support me so much. I love you all. You mean the world to me. Thank you so much. Here are my other social media. They are most active here on YouTube and on my other channels. Please, by all means, check out also my reaction channel. A new video on there will come out tomorrow. It's called System Reacts and it's linked right here. Now I hope you have a wonderful and amazing day. Check out those other videos as well if you like. And now, bye!
About what you want to be. Step 4. Everybody just do your thing.
Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day.